up? Welcome guys to the Slayer Pet World. Well, I've got another list drop episode for you today, baby. 60 plus decks for you today. The last time we had one of these was the start of last month. Rebel Clash just came out. Now obviously the metagame has developed. Everyone needs updated lists, and that's what I've got for you today. Okay, literally got a list for every deck in format almost. Okay, 60 plus. Took me a long time to get these lists together. So you know, if you end up using any of these, or you just like the video or the effort I've put in, please like the video. It really helps in the YouTube algorithm so people see this video, and leave some comments as well. Okay, that being said, all the decks will have timestamps down below, so you can just click straight to the deck you want to see. All deck lists will be in a spreadsheet in the description as well, that will be copy and pasteable, so you can just copy the list out, bang it in your TCGO, and you're off to go. Okay, a lot of these lists will be taken from limitless results, because obviously we've had 4 big tournaments now. The sort of amounts developed since then as well. So again, if you want to sort of see the exact lists, again, they'll be on Limitless as well. A really good way to gauge the metagame. But with that being said, we've got 60 decks to cover, baby. I'm going to shut up now. Let's start looking at them. Our first one is Welder Mewtwo, and this was a deck that sort of fell off a little bit in the Rebel Clash format. Obviously, before Rebel Clash, it was a real big staple deck, you know, winning one of the ICs, I believe. But with VMAX is coming out, you know, they're sort of using 300 off the Family Charizard from the Flare Blitz GX. Isn't quite cutting it anymore, but the way to get around that now is by going Headbutt Tantrum with Scoop Up Nets and make the damage up that way. Key things to note, I like having a Wobbuffet just for increased thingamabobbing to help against Tapu Koko. We've got the Jirachi to help out against Dragapult. And then we've got the Incineroar with the Darkest Tornado Jet, which is going to let us uptrade into the VMAXs and one-shot them, okay? Sound good? That's Welder Mewtwo. Right now, it's worth me saying as well, before we get into many more of these, a lot of these lists will be ripped straight from the Limitless event. Obviously, a lot of these decks come well in Limitless, so a lot of lists will just come straight from there. I believe this is Azul's list. He just got 2nd place at the last Limitless qualifier. It's obviously Turbozation with combo. Key things to note here, we've got the combo, we've got 2 Mr. Mime to help get us into that combo, 2 Iron Gurus, we've got the Tapu Fini also, we've got the Fremble, which is kind of cool, 4 Zacians, Jirachi, and yeah, this is a pretty down the middle list for Turbozation. I think this is the list that will be popularised, and a lot of people will be playing this one moving forward. No custom catchers, which I find interesting. Got 2 great catchers instead. But yeah, you know, if you want to play Turbozation, you ain't going to do wrong with this list. You'll know Azor's an absolute beast. So yeah, there's Turbozation. Next is Turbo Boltund. And this is a list that was very different to mine. It looks like we're focusing more on a Tapu Koko V and the Boltund in that regard, and use Tapu Koko to have a 200 damage out of Thunderous Bolt, which doesn't seems quite sensible, to be fair. Got their Chaotic Swell with no Thunder Mountain, because obviously we don't really need Thunder Mountain too much. You need to everything that's for free, cheap, I should say. Notice the cheeky Porter there. Love that, love that, love that. So yeah, super interesting list really. So yeah, that's Turbo Boltund. But this next one's an interesting list that I saw in Limitless. This is a straight Mali Trevnoir with hammers, and I really like the idea of this, you know, just really saying to our opponent, right, I'm going to be taking 2 cards out of your hand every turn, 2-shot pretty much everything, and taking your energy away, whilst having Celtic Swell in play or Power Plant. Seems like a super strong combo there, guys. No offense. You've got the Cramorant to like mop up any retreating Pokemon you haven't quite been able to kill. And this is actually seems quite fun. I think I might be giving this a little go, to be fair. But yeah, straight Trevnoir. So our next one is Toxicity V-Max, and I think, don't quote me, this might be Grant Manley's list, I'm not 100% sure, but this is a bonkers list, man. We all know Toxicity V-Max is an absolute world beater with G-Max right, there's 240. Key things to note here are the Pokeballs, man. And I've just realised, hold on, this should be like this. There we go, yeah. Because I remember the list came in at 59 cards. I just added energy, but now I know it's meant to be a Toxicity. So yeah, G-Max right, there's 240 if they're poison. We're going to use Garbodor to poison them. But yeah, the key things to note here are the Tapu Fini, number 1, but then Pokeballs. So we're really trying to go heavy on the ball search there, and that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I'm a fan of that. So yeah, Toxicity V-Max. Next one is a straight Dragapult. I think this was the list that came top 8 in the last Limitless qualifier before. Key things to know here, I'm fairly certain this Zamazenta was here just as a joke and a bet that the guy had with his friends, so don't play that. Play something else in that slot instead. Maybe a 4th Dragapult V or extra energy. But yeah, we've got the hammers here, you know, we've got the energy count seems super low at 7. That's probably what I'd be changing. Zamazenta in for another psychic for sure. Power Plant at your stadium is rather cool. Screw Pop Nets. Got both the Giratinas there, which is interesting. So the Giratina gets 2 damage counters in play when it's in the discard pile. And then a Galarian Zigzagoon as well. So yeah, that's straight Dragapult. Right, so this next one is super spicy. I couldn't believe when I saw it. So this is Frosmoth Alolan Sandslash GX, okay? Alolan Sandslash is GX attack. There's 100 to all Pokemon in play on your opponent's side that has damage on it, okay? So what you're going to do, we're going to be setting up damage with Roxie Weezing, getting energy on our Alolan Sandslash, and then doing a GX attack, right? And that all seems well and good, but I don't think that wins games on its own, until I realised we've got the Misty Lorelei. So we can actually do that GX attack 3 times in this deck. So we're going to try and just really throw damage counters around. And this got piloted to a high finish as well. So there might be some method to the madness here. Alolan Sandslash Frosmoth. So we got a Rowegg Rillaboom with no Rillaboom VMAX, I should say. So this is interesting. We've got the Mewtwo Mew here, so we can copy attacks at a whim. So we can use that to copy the Super Growth, Carbon Hurricane, or Tropical Hour. And then we've got this Venusaur Snivy here. The Shining One ability that's going to act like a Buster's Orders and has a 160 attack in Forest Storm. So yeah, this is pretty bog standard Rillaboom list in that regard. You got the Shaman as well. Excuse me. So yeah, as you can tell, I'm not really a Rowegg kind of person. That makes me bored, but there's that. After a bit more of an exciting Rillaboom deck, we've now got Rillaboom VMAX, which I think is a lot more fun, and I do think it's better. I don't think doing Calming Hurricane is going to win you the game. I could be wrong. But yeah, here's Rillaboom VMAX with the big, scary, max beating attack. And there's all the stuff to go with it. We've still got the Rowegg there, so we can evolve up the Rillaboom. So we're not going down Candy route. But yeah, there's that. Right, and this is one of my favourite decks to play right now, okay? Quad ADP Greens. I love Greens decks, I love ADP decks. So being able to put them both together, I'm always going to be a fan. So this deck should be super competitive, right? And consistent. So, key things to note here, we've got all the energies now here with the one wait and see hammer, 4 crushings, we've got 4 customs, we've got the greens, we've got the Island Charms Amulet to make them get 3 carries instead of 2. And it's just a super tricky list. Key things to note here, you can swap the money count up for Coach Trainers. I've flipped it the other way there because I want Coach Trainer. I feel as if drawing cards is going to be much better under like a Marnie or something. And I don't like the idea of Marnie in a way a hand with your greens. Because you want to try and build a hand over top of green decks. I don't really want to start shuffling it away. So, yeah. So there's Greens ADP, one of my favourite decks. Right, so our next one is a Malamar Dragapult list. And I say Malamar Dragapult almost with a tongue-in-cheek there, because it's only got a 1-1 Mally. This list did well in one of the limitless qualifiers. Couldn't say which one though. But key things to know here, you've got the Ditto Lycanroc, and the Lycanroc attacks for free if your opponent has any EX or GX in play, which is pretty much all the time. And it's a 60 plus 70 if your opponent's active and your special energy attached. So I mean, when you're attacking for free, and then is it something like Dragapult where your sort of raw damage output isn't the highest, so get stuff like Pikarom, this is definitely taking a KO, so that's pretty sweet. Got the Super Scoop Ups, got the Shrine, all that good stuff there. So yeah, Dragapult Mally. So many people's best decking format at the minute is Pikarom, and this is a pretty down the middle list for it here. I know our friend at the channel, Jack Old, has done really well with Pikarom recently. So yeah, you can't really moan so much here. Got a couple goods Hallow, which I don't think is always standard, but this person's got it in here. Got one Malolana, got the Reset and Whole Marshadow, which is nice to get around Swell, because Swell seems to be everywhere right now. So yeah, it's like a pretty down the middle list there, I think. So a bit of Pikarom. Next up is Frosmoth Milotic. I haven't really been a fan of Milotic, but I can appreciate his raw damage output can be absolutely monstrous when hitting into basic Pokemon. So we're going to use Frosmoth to power up here. You've got the Volcanion Prism, you've got the Palkia GX, which is low-key an awesome GX attack right now. Got a Capacious Bucket, got all that good stuff there. So yeah, that's Milotic v Frosmoth. Keeping with the Frosmoth decks for now, we have Frosmoth Inteleon. Inteleon VMAX is one of my favourite cards in Rebel Clash. Weak to Electric, there's a 10 with a pinch of salt. And a lot of people think Pikarom is the best deck in format, so and you're weak to that, so keep that in mind. But yes, so we're going to use Frosmoth to power him up. We've got the Super Scoop Ups there, so we can try and absorb hits, just keep it moving, We've got 3 Team Yell Grunts, so we're going to really be leaning into the Hydro Snipe there, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, Inteleon VMAX, Frosmoth. Now, I think all the way back in the Limitless Qualifier 1, someone did well with more Pekko Dolls. Again, this is a deck that I haven't really played much. I don't think the damage output's good enough. And now that Boss always is a thing, you know, your Morpeko isn't going to always be safe. That being said, you know, it's a pretty fun card nonetheless. So yeah, there it is. Morpeko dolls. Next up is a more traditional Malamar Giratina, so a Mali tags, and it's a deck that, you know, it might be hitting its sort of heyday now in the sense that it might start to be pushed out of format. But this was a list that did well in Limitless Qualifier 1 that I've adapted a little bit. Key things to note is I've actually got the Stinger, which is kind of interesting. I'm a fan of that. I actually evolved into the Stinger as well. Mimikyu is still a really good card. And got the Latios, got the Gengar, Mimikyu, so it's got all the sort of tips and tricks that a Malamar deck should have. So yeah, I'm a fan. I've always been a fan of Malamar. Super consistent, super reliable. So yeah, there's that. So we're going to stick with Malamar. We've got like a Malamar Mewtwo type deck, which again now has some sort of tips and tricks that we can use to aid us moving forward. And again, it's a deck that I think people think it's been power kept out of format, but I think it's core. The core of the deck is still so strong. The premise of what your game plan is, you can still really take easy wins. So we'll be using Mewtwo copy Night Watch, copy Venom Shot. We've got the Darkest Tornado, Incineroar from the Roldan Mewtwo list in here. We've still got the Giratina, we've still got the Gengar Mimi. So all that good stuff. I'd like to see maybe a Mimikyu in there. But you know, everything else seems pretty cool. Note it, you have to pay a Jirachi GX though for Dragapult. I think that's a necessity at this point. So yeah, there's Mali Mewtwo. So we've got a Macargo Mill here, and I'm not going to talk to about this one because I really don't know much about these Mill Stall decks anymore. But if you're interested in this, there's a good list for you. Right, next up we've got Luxray from UK's very own Luke Fisher, who did quite well in Limitless Qualifier 3, I'd like to say. Luxray is a super strong non-GX, it's 160, which is a clean 2-shot and everything. Worth noting, you help us disconnect Luxio as well, so like turn 2 or turn 1 going second, you can actually pop off a disconnect, stop your opponent from playing items, really delay them, and then next turn punch him in the mouth for 160. Seems pretty strong, and you got all the tips and tricks here as well, which I'm a fan of. So yeah, there's a bit of Luxray. It's a Slowpoke World homebrew, baby. We've got ourselves Inteleon Greens. My favourite way to play Inteleon, just because I think it's such a super disruptive card. If we can just sort of get really cheeky with it now, use the Greens engine, put our opponent down to a low hand size, then start absolutely detonating stuff with our attack, I think it's going to be really cool. So yeah, there's Inteleon VMAX Greens. Right, so next up we got Gramble, one of my favourite decks of all time. I don't think this deck is still super competitive, but I saw someone did really well with it in one of the Limitless events, so thought I'd have to bring it to this video. All out, obviously, is 116. You've got no cards left in your hand, so you've got stuff like Slugma and Oranguru, just to make sure you always have all the stuff you need to keep going throughout the game. And the core premise is still really strong. A non-Jex doing 160 every turn is still really good. So you know, if you can get your head around how to play it, it's actually a really strong deck. So get those reps in. Right, next up is 4-links, and you know, with all the prominence of electric decks now, playing 4-links might not be too bad of a shout really. Being able to just really uptrade into Pikaroms is always going to be good for you. It's actually a pretty consistent list as well. Got a couple Bs there to help out with your attaching energy. You got the 4-links V, which just provide a bigger hit if you need it. Got Capture AG to really help set up. Got the Sonya, and I think it's actually a really fun little deck, and you'd be surprised how actually competitive it can be. So yeah, there's 4-links. Speaking of fighting type counter decks, this is probably the best one you can find in format right now. We've got Excadrill, and I believe the guy did well in 2 of the Limitless events with this thing, right? 11th hour tackle, there's 180 when you've got 3 cards left in your deck, which is always fine. You know, you've got a way to manipulate your deck to make sure you always don't deck out. And then you've got Dual Bazooka, which is 120, which just one-shots all the lightning stuff anyway. So, so you don't even have to worry about that. You got the Substrakus to help you draw through and all that good stuff as well. So yeah, there's Excadrill. Knows me personally will know I despise Baby Clowns with a passion, so I don't want to talk this long about this, but we all know that Baby Clowns is a really big powerhouse deck. This list is worth noting does play Jirachi Prism combo as well, so you can be even more cheeky with it, which I really don't like the sound of. But yeah, if you're a fan of Baby Clowns, I got you a deck, baby. But now I originally thought that Cinderace was the worst out of all the starters, right? But it did actually get a Limitless place finisher. I think it's worth looking at. Note we've got the Heat Train here, so we can pop off a little bit of unexpected damage output. We've got the Dub Wall, who's going to come in as a real strong late game finisher. And the Cinderace is still a super tanky Pokemon that for 2 energy does as much damage back to your opponent as you took in the last turn. So if you can heal damage off, throw it back at them, it's actually really cool. So yeah, Cinderace VMAX, don't forget about him. I don't really know much about these control decks, guys. This is Bird Control though. Worth noting, it's got the Magneton here, which is super clutch, going to let you knock itself out, get 3 supporters. I think that's really good in a mirror, or any sort of Millstore mirror. Super disruptive, you know, bird control going to try and initiate the lock, stop you drawing well, got the Articuno in case you set a 1 big threat. So yeah, it's got a lot of tips and tricks, bird control, don't forget about it. Right, so this is Silvally Behemoth. I think this might have done well in Limitless Qualifier 1. And this is super cool. So, Behemoth for a 3 CE does 90 damage, your opponent can't play any items next turn, and it shoves itself back into deck. So, the problem with that is you have to always find yourself the Behemoth again and all that energy. But you've got Silvally to help you draw through, you've got the other Silvally to give all your basics a free retreat, and you've actually got the Mr. Mimes here to act as walls, so your opponent can't even do damage, combined with 4 Pokédolls as well. That's super interesting, man. That's cool, that's cool, that's cool. And worth noting, you can attack with the Silvallies in a pinch with the 3 Cs as well. So yeah, that's Behemoth Silvally. Right, moving on to another ADP deck, we've got ADP Spiritomb. This is a deck that Ross Crawford's done super well with in a first Limitless qualifier and carried through success all throughout his Limitless events. So it's super strong, being able to uptrade really nicely, just throwing out silly damage with a non-GX, non-V Pokemon for 1 attachment is always going to be really cool for you. So yeah, one of the underrated ADP variants in my opinion, but doesn't mean it's not good. So moving on, we've got another ADP deck, ADP KOKO. Worth noting with this list, we're not going down the Greens engine, which most ADP KOKO lists did do before. Got the Rainbow Brushes, which are kind of interesting. And then we've got the Jirachi, Zapdos, and I think Zapdos actually be really cool in an ADP list. So yeah, there's ADP KOKO, fellas. An interesting ADP archetype that I haven't seen much talk about. So go ahead and give it a go. Coming in with another Slowpoke World Homebrew, babe. We've got ourselves ADP Guzzlord Greens. I love Greens ADP list. Being able to summon up the Alolan Meowth can win you so many games, knocking out Jirachis. Guzzlord taking extra prizes with having Beast Ring to fall back on as well. And then all your healing stuff, got the Beast Bringers, you've got the custom catches, you've got all the myriad of stuff that Greens decks, Wait and See Hammer, all that good stuff as well. So yeah, one of my favourite decks to play for sure. Right, next up we've got like a more traditional Firebox ABZ list. Got the Victini, got the Charizard. Worth noting that these Fireboxes are really creeping away from Charizard now in favour of other attackers. We've got the Tapu Fini, we've got all that sort of good weldery stuff. Got the Victini, super big clutch hitter late game. So yeah, there is Firebox. Moving forward, one of the most creative and fun decks to play in format, Ultimate Mewtwo. Being able to just summon out ridiculous manner of attackers or attacks at any given time, making use of Soul Burst from Solgaleo GX, so you can just spawn 5 energies in play and just literally bench these tag teams or discard them and just use literally whatever attack you want. Nuts. Popularized obviously with Henry Brand, our world champion coming out of Australia. So yeah, there is Ultimate Mewtwo, and that's a deck I have to get around to playing at some point. This qualifier 4 actually saw quite a bit of success with straight Spiritomb. I know Celia's Network has been working on that, so shout outs to him. If you want to hear more stuff about this deck, go check out his channel. I don't really know much about it. All I know is you've got a load of Ultra Beasts for your Power Spike turns. You've got Spiritomb just to keep ticking you over, and you've got the Beast Game Buzzwole to try and cheat up some prizes that way. So yeah, super interesting, and it's another deck I have to get around to playing myself really. But yeah, straight Spiritomb Beasts. This is giving you still a really good attack. Well, Obstruction is a good attack, I should say. Locking off all basic Pokemon. Doom Count is still silly against anything that like a VMAX Pokemon that you can't obstruct. Just Doom lose it instead, you know what I mean? You'll be fine. And Sable's always good for some cleanup utility. So yeah, this is a super interesting list, and this was Grant Mantley's list again. So yeah, Obstagoon. Don't sleep on Obstagoon. He'll still win you many games. Full Metal Zacian, a sort of Dark Horse Zacian deck. Been able to use Full Metal Wall GX in combination with Frying Pan or what's the other one, Goggles, to make your damage reduced by 60 in combination with Energy Denial and all that good stuff. Super Scoop Up. It's going to make it really hard for your opponent to take prizes whilst you're punching them in the face for 230 a turn. So yeah, super strong. One of the decks you have to again put the work in, know your matchups, but if you do, it's super rewarding. So the super creative archetype, and I think Benji Pham, I'd like to say, made this, popularized it. Attacking Macargo with Alolan Persian GX. And what Alolan Persian GX does, it just walls off so much of the format. Prevent all offensive attacks, including damage, done to this Pokemon by Tag Team, Pokemon, Ultra Beast, and any Pokemon have special energy attached. Now, let's have a think together. What Pokemon or what decks can actually get around that? The only one I can think of is like a not even Pikarom, because they got speed energies now. So it means your opponent's going to really have to be changing the way they play, which is always good for us. And then you've got Macargo just to help accelerate the energies. And if you can't get Alolan Persian out, just punch him in the face with Lava Flow. It's still a really good attack in its own right. So, yeah, that's Macargo, Alolan Persian. My Bediff always has been, always will be. ADPZ, taking extra prizes. Brave Blade just doing silly damage. The only thing to note now, it's really hard for ADPZ to one-shot VMAXs. You can go down a Zamazenta route if you want to sort of defend yourself that way. But I think most of the time, I think just going Brave Blade is still perfectly fine. Key things that you probably have to play energy switches now, because there's so much energy in Island format. There's a high chance that if you attach to ADP to one, it might become flying off, in which case you have to rely on the Saucer energy switch combo. So yeah, there is ADPZ. Right, next up is Welder Milotic. Again, I'm not really convinced with Milotic as a card, but I do know it's super strong attacking power, and then being able to play it with Roldan lets you get it set up in a turn without having to worry about Frosmoth, all that good stuff. And it lets you get access to Ninetales V and potentially a Victini as well if you want to go down that route. So super strong attacker really. I just don't like having to rely on Welder personally. But you know, if you can sort of look through that, or you can like Milotic as a Pokemon, you want to give this a go, I don't want to blame it, it's still super strong. So next up is another Slowpoke Royal Homebrew baby. Got ourselves Spiritomb Terrakion. And now that Twin Energy is a card, Terrakion is a much easier Pokemon to use. Being able to attack for one attachment provided you got Karate Belt. So you can use Spiritomb to tick you over in the early game. We want to Spiritomb is super meta relevant card right now. And then being able to just close out games with really strong cavern counters is the aim of the game here. And it's actually super strong. Again, put those reps in, guys, and I promise you, you will be rewarded. This is a nuts deck. It's gonna let us maneuver around our Alolan Meowth, got access to that. But then we get access to a real easy Malolana, which I think is key for Dragapult, okay? Then we get to play Guzma to find our giant bombs as well. So like I said, this is my favourite Dragapult list. Sort of combines the best. It lets you get ability, utility that you wouldn't get if you was playing a greens version, but it lets you have a bit more search and healing than if you was playing a normal straight up ability version. So it's like a halfway house. I think it works super well. So yeah, Dragapult Tag Crop. I've actually got a full deck profile on the channel with this deck as well. Slowpoke World Special. Malamar Giratina Gengar. So a bit like the straight Trevenant deck from earlier, we've put in some Gengars. That's going to let us go for the Horror House into Nightwatch combo or straight Poltergeist Donk. It's just super strong. This deck just says no to your opponent. You're not playing cards. You're not getting sort of not today sunshine. So there's that. If you like those sort of decks, I got the first one for you. We've got Sandaconda Coalossal, and it's a deck that was initially hyped for. I played a lot of it in real life testing, but not a lot online. But Coalossal lets you use Sandaconda, Sand Breath, super strong attack. Note that the Sand Eater is super relevant. It lets you KO stuff like Jirachi potentially, or threaten tag teams with little dinks. Get access to Ninetales, and you get access to Entei and Cramorant as well. So it's almost like a box deck in that regard. So yeah, super interesting card and a interesting deck for sure. Dragapult should do a little bit more bench snipe. There may be Roxie Dragapult as a deck for you. Being able to utilise Roxie Wheezing to just add extra damage counters around. And if you get a Roxie with 2 Wheezings off, you can KO a Jirachi in one turn on the bench. Next up, we've got Green's Malamar, and I still think this is my favourite way to play. I've seen some people incorporate Electrode into their list so you can make your stamp a little bit more aggressive. I don't mind that, but it does add a lot of clunk to the deck that you might not necessarily want. So this is like a halfway house in between. I'm not really a fan of like the straight Darkbox version of this deck either. I still think this is my favourite way to play. Super disruptive, taking one card out of your opponent's hand every turn whilst 2-shot and everything. It's still a very good way to play the game. So there's Green's Malamar VMAX. There's Magnezone Copperajah. Again, this is a deck that I think Gyro Sean has put a lot of time and effort into. I know he's got multiple listeners on the channel, so if you want to know more about this deck, feel free to go watch out here. He's a good YouTuber. So, in the meantime, know while you're here with me, we're going to use Magnezone to just throw Meta Energies to all our Pokemon. Copperajah VMAX, Full Metal Wall Lucario, and we've even got one Zacian here as well. And just say, right, I'm just a really big tanky Pokemon. Can you knock out 2 of us? If they say, and then if they can't, you just punch them in the face for 240 every turn, and that is perfectly fine. So this is actually a deck I might try out tonight. I'm really intrigued by it. So yeah, Copperajah VMAX Magnezone. Frosmoth. Lapras still hasn't gone anywhere, guys. He might not be like the most out of the box hard hitting VMAX, but you're still going to take 4, 5, 6 files on his own. Worth noting, we've got the baby Lapras that's going to help us against stuff like Dragapult and ADPs by putting 2 energy attacks from your opponent's active back into their hand. And we've got Zero Vanish in a similar vein, just to start shuffling away energies that we don't really want them to have. And whilst we're doing that, we've got a big old Lapras slapping him in the face. So yeah, there's Lapras VMAX Frosmoth, baby. Well, if we're going to go down a full greens route with Dragapult, obviously you can, and here's the list for it. This is going to let you fit in stuff like Crushing Hammer, Wait and See Hammer, Chaotic Swell, more healing, more Giant Bombs, and custom catches. It's going to let you just really be clinical with your turns, let you do exactly what you want to do on a turn you want to do it. And with Dragapult being such an effective, efficient card in its own right, being able to just do exactly what you want to do every turn seems rather strong to me. So yeah, there's greens at Dragapult. If you're not really getting along with normal Pikarom, what we have here is a greens Pikarom list, where you lose a tiny bit of early game potency. You might not be able to get turn 1 full blitz as often. What it does let you do now is have a whole host of other options that you wouldn't normally have. Custom catchers, reliable search for electro power, wait and see hammer, power plant, you know, all this stuff now, healing as well to a certain extent, while still having that potential for a turn 1 full blitz. So yeah, that is greens Pikarom. It's actually really fun, guys. Don't sleep on this. I love playing this deck. I just love green decks in general. So I'm a big fan of this one too. Oh, greens deck. We've got ourselves green Charizard here. Again, this is a deck that I haven't really seen a lot of talk about right now. But I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just think it's this might be getting a little bit outclassed. But again, if you like greens decks and you like red cards, this is a deck for you. Nerf button now. We get a Ninetales V. We've still got the Fossil Lock online, and we've got loads of stamps and power plants to lock our opponent up. So yeah, there's greens Charizard. Got ourselves another Slowpoke World Special here. We've got ourselves Dragapult Gengar. The idea with this one is once we get out Gengar, we can move damage off our Dragapults onto another Pokemon. Primarily the 2 Psychic Prism style Pokemon that we have. So we can move up to 150 damage from our VMAX onto that, scoop up that damage away, put it back down. We basically turn our Dragapult VMAX into a walking tank with 320 HP. And if they can't one-shot, if we have Gengar out, there's nothing they can do. Yeah, really scary deck to play against. And it's a deck that I should actually play a little bit more, I think. So, Dragapult VMAX Gengar. Alright, next up we got ourselves Gallade Silvally. Gallade's an interesting card. Hits for Psychic and Fire type at the same time. With Twin Energy now as well, we can attack for 1 attachment, which I think puts this archetype potentially back on the map. And since it lets you move away energy as well, it lets you preserve it to get attacking with your next Gallade, provided you don't get KO'd. Got Roads at Engine, we got Spell Tag, we can use Dojo, we can use Diancie, all this stuff, whilst we can make Silvally attack for silly energy cut types as well with our memory cards, whilst drawing up as well. It's actually a really fun deck to play, and I'm a big fan. So if you like a little bit of a rogue pick, maybe this is the one for you. If you want to know more about Dolstore, you go ask Benjamin Rabbiotti. He'll be able to tell you more about it than me. I've never played this deck before in my life, so I know he loves it though. So if you like Dolstore, then this is the deck for you. So we got ourselves Darkbox, Naganadel Darkbox. I've seen some lists that are playing like red blue. I've never really been a fan of red blue because if you don't get it, you're sort of really falling behind. Whereas this deck, you have many more options to get back in the game. I have a more aggressive early game as well. Darkbox is a really good pick. Zoro Ninja destroys Dragapult. Pale Moon GX one-shots everything in format. Mega Save by Tita takes 3 prizes off the Dene. And yeah, there's just a lot of options whilst having B-String to fall back on, just throw energy in play. And I find Darkbox has those real big power spike turns where if you successfully get that power spike turn, you're normally in good stead. So yeah, there's Naganadel Beastbox. Next up we got ourselves Chandelure, Slowpoke World Pet deck. Chandelure, what it did gain from this set with the top entry Lamper, you know, you might be able to pull it off a few times, you never know. Being able to Spirit Burn out loads of Pokemon though, and then start attacking with them, really mitigates the stage 2 problem of this deck, because you know you got to like Duststone, and once you get one Spirit Burn, you tend to get the rest of your attackers out. So super fun and rogue. Again, if you like rogue decks, then give this one a go. Right, next up we have ourselves Turbo Bolt and Naganadel, and this is again a list that I haven't seen many people play. It's been semi-unique, I think. Good friend Tubbs in the UK came messaging me with this list. I thought I'll put it together, made a few changes. Super strong. Naganadel lets you just accelerate energy into play. every turn. You get Beast Ring support as well, so you can just start doing mad power spike turns. Bolton's just super consistent, and I think there's something to be said for a deck that always gets it up every game and gives your opponent an honest go every time. And that's exactly what this deck does. So yeah, Turbo Boltons and Naganova. Next up, we got ourselves Malamar Baby Dragapult. Now, a lot of people said to me, you don't need Malamar for this deck. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. You know, if you don't want to play Malamar, that's fine. But I like to prepare for the eventuality that we might get KO'd in one shot. And if you're not playing Malamar, we ain't attacking again. So, that being said, you can put Jiraxes in this deck as well. It does need a little bit of extra draw sometimes. But I'll try to keep it as a budget deck. So, with that being said, we've got Pokies instead of Jiraxes. But, you know, if you've got the Jiraxes available, feel free to put them in. Worth noting, we've got Mimikyu, which is always fine and good. So, yeah, there's Baby Dragapult, Malamar. Next up, we got another Greens ADP list. This one is ADP Ultra Necrozma. This is going to push Ultra Necrozma to do an extra 30, which is super relevant for a lot of maps. But you get Beast Rings to Ultra Necrozma. So if you get an Ultimate Ray up onto an Ultra, that Ultra is going to kill anything in format. That simple. But with Beast Rings, you can set up checkmate scenarios where you've got like 2 Ultra Necrozmas with like 4 energy each, and it's just like, right, that's it. Like, unless you can start hammering, I've won this game. Which is super fun. And I've always loved Ultra Necrozma as a card as well, so that's probably the main reason why I built this deck. But yeah, still super fun. Greens ADP Ultra Necrozma. ADP Milotic. I feel as if this is probably the worst version you could play, just because you're so reliant on Ultimate Rare. A lot of my other Greens ADP lists, while the Ultimate Ray is super nice, it's not 100% essential. In this deck, it flat out is. If you don't get Ultimate Ray, you lose. That being said, though, if you do get it off, that Milotic is going to be punching serious holes. So yeah, ADP Milotic, you know, if you're willing to risk it, this could be really rewarding for you. Slowpoke, well, homebrew. We got ourselves ADP Baby Inteleon. So, Baby Inteleon, once you get the GX boosters, 150 for 2, while doing a 20 snipe, super cool. But with his abilities, you're always going to be drawing well throughout the game, which is what I love. You're never going to be missing stuff, because all you need to do is just get out, like, 1 Drizzle, and then you're off to the races again, baby. And then there's something to be said for that. It's going to let you play custom catches, let you play boss doors, let you play the energy null stuff as well. It's actually a really fun deck to play as well. If I ever want to have a bit of fun, I'm always playing this. So, ADP Inteleon. Right, so that's actually all the decks, baby. That's all of them. So 60 plus. I haven't exactly counted. I count afterwards. But yeah, so this is like super cool, big project on the text. If you enjoyed it or you did any of the list, please like, comment, all that good stuff. Let me know it was worth all this time and effort in. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.